This is the homework for 5-102, 5-103, and 5-104. For 5-102a, you need to convert each percent increase or decrease into a multiplier. So if you have a 3% increase, that means that the value is going to get larger from the original amount. So if you think of the original amount as being 100% of whatever it is, and you write that as 1.00 as a decimal. The increase, you're going to add the increase to it of 3%. That would be written as 0.03 as a decimal. So when you have your original amount and your increase, to get the multiplier, you add these two together. You have your original amount plus the 300ths, which would be 103% of what you originally had. So a 3% increase equals to a 1.03 as a multiplier. So if I had a value of 10 and I wanted a 3% increase, I would multiply it by 1 300ths. For part B, we have a 25% decrease. So that means we're going to have a lesser value than our original amount. So our original amount is, we have 100% of whatever it is, whatever value. To write that as a decimal is 1.00. Then we're going to subtract the decrease. And how much is it decreasing? By 25%. And so we have 25% as a decimal is 25 hundredths. And so to write it as a percent as a multiplier, 75% is going to be 75 hundredths. Part C, 13% decrease. That's going to equal 87 hundredths as a multiplier. You have 100% of what you start with. You're going to subtract 13% because it's decreasing by 13%, which will give you 87% or 87 hundredths. So your multiplier is 87 hundredths. Part D has a 2 8/100% increase. So you have, again, your original amount, which is 100% of whatever value you have, written as a decimal, 1.00. It's going to increase, so that means it's going to be, the multiplier is going to be greater than 1. If the multiplier is less than 1, it's decreasing. If the multiplier is 1, it stays the same. So, but for it to increase, the multiplier has to be greater than 1. So 2.08%, you're going to go ahead, written as a decimal, is 0.0208. And you're just moving the decimal 2 places to the left to turn it into percent. And since it's increasing, we're adding the percentage, or the multiplier multiplies something by 1, it stays the same. Here's the increase. You add those together. So a 2.08% increase equals to 1.0208 as a multiplier. For problem 5-103, you need to identify each sequence as arithmetic, geometric, or neither for each graph. So for number 1, you can see that it's decreasing at a constant rate. You hear it's 16, 1, 2, 3, decreases -3 over 1, -3 over 1, -3 over 1. So this one is arithmetic. Arithmetic has an increase or decrease at a constant rate from one term to the next by adding or subtracting. This one is not at a constant rate, so it's neither arithmetic or geometric. For graph 3, you start at 8, and you go from 8 to 4, from 4 to 2, 2 to 1, 1, it looks like a half. So for each term, it's being divided by 2 or multiplied by 1/2. So this is geometric. For part B, if arithmetic or geometric describe the sequence generator, so we're looking for the common difference or the common multiplier. And the first one is arithmetic, and the common difference is adding -3. For this, for graph 3, the common multiplier is multiplying by 1/2. Problem 5, 104, write the equation of the line parallel to y equals -1/3 x plus 5, passing through point 9, -1. So if lines are parallel, they have the same slope. Remember, rise over run. If they have the same rise over run, whether it's positive slope or negative slope, they will be parallel. So if this has a -1/3 slope, it's rising for every one it rises, it runs -3. So a line that's parallel to that has to have the same slope. So this is y equals -1/3 x plus 5. Well, in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We keep the slope the same because they're parallel, but the point that it goes through, this point 9, -1, passes or is on this line. So if x is 9 and y is -1, we plug those values in. So we have y is -1, x is 9, and 1/3 of 9, or we could do 9 divided by 3 is 3, and then -1 multiplied by 3 is -3. So we have -3, or a third of 9 is 3. And since it has a negative value, it's negative, because a negative multiplied by a positive is negative. And now we solve for b. Inverse property of subtraction is addition. We created a zero pair. What you do to one side, you do to the other. -1 plus 3 is +2. So the b value, or the y-intercept, is 2. So now we can go ahead and plug it in back into the equation. We know the slope is 1/3, -1/3. And now we have the y-intercept, or the b value, as +2. So this line is parallel to this line. The only difference is they have a different y-intercept where they cross the y-axis.